Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 56 of FTB Revelations. Today's plan, more nuclear craft. Well, that's the plan at least. We're going to see if it works out alright. So last episode we got started with a mob spawner that requires a huge amount of power use. So that led me to wanting to get into nuclear craft more. It's something I wanted to do anyway because I've never really explored the mod and played around with it as much as I wanted to. So as a result, I've started looking into the different types of fuel that are available. So if we look at nuclear craft, we'll find that there's a lot of different types of fuel. There's uranium, and then there's neptunium, and then there's plutonium, and then there's americium, and then there's curium, and then there's berkelium, and then there's californium. And I think californium is like the most powerful of the fuels. But it takes a lot of steps to get there, because basically the way it works is every time you burn a fuel, you get burnt out versions of that fuel, and we're already processing the LEU version of that, right? So we are currently working on LEU 235, right? And when we process that in a fission reactor, we get depleted LEU 235. Right? And that depleted LEU 235 goes into a fuel reprocessor and it winds up getting us, basically think of it as the next tier of fuel. So when we process that, we're getting plutonium 239 and 241. We're also getting some neptunium and a little bit of uranium 238 back. Cool. So if we're looking at that, we should see that we have probably a healthy amount of plutonium 241 and 239 available in our system here, because we've been burning through our LEU 235 for power. We might tweak the LEU 235 reactor so that it burns faster, thereby producing the better tiers of fuel more quickly. So basically there's a couple ways to build your reactors. What we built over in the desert is a reactor that's very efficient. So it gets as much energy as it can out of the fuels, thereby making the fuels last a really long time and getting us lots of energy. What we could do instead is build what's called a breeder reactor, and what that does is it burns through the fuel super fast. It's not very efficient. We don't get a lot of energy out of it. However, it does wind up getting us the new materials more quickly, because instead of taking, let's say, 10 minutes to burn through a piece of fuel, it takes 1 minute, right? Just making up numbers here. So that's what a breeder reactor is. It basically is designed to burn through the fuel as fast as possible with very low efficiency, thereby causing you to not get a lot of energy out of the fuel, but you do burn through it very quick and get the fissionable materials that come out of it, right? Like plutonium. So in looking around, it looks like there's a couple paths that we want to go down. So LEU 233 fuel, uranium 233 and uranium 238 is something we're going to want to look at next. So do we have some of that? So we've got 235 and we've got 238. Where do we get 233 from? So that would be tiny clumps of 233, which comes from fuel reprocessing Tvu Fuel. Ah, okay, cool. So I guess we want to get that? Okay. Because one of the things we're going to want to get is plutonium 241. Like, this is the path that, according to my Googling, is the way we want to go. All the way up to high energy californium 249, which once you fission that down and reprocess it, you wind up with californium 250 and 251, which I think is like the crazy good stuff, right? And you can see some of these are highly radioactive, so we're going to want to deal with radiation as well, you know, pretty soon, if not really soon. So with that said, what I'm thinking is today's episode will work on a couple breeder reactors for the lower energy fuels, so we can start getting the higher energy fuels, and then we can start working on what to do about that. Does that sound like a plan? I like that idea. All right, so let's take a look at our reactor planner, because I've come up with a couple designs. One or two I found online, one or two I came up with myself. The ones I came up with myself are probably not that great, if I'm being totally honest, but they'll probably at least get the job done. I'm not saying they're like the most great ones in the world, but first thing we want to do is get a reactor that's going to be able to handle the heat produced by 235, 233, and Tvu Fuel. Now, Tvu Fuel has really low heat gen. You can see it's 18 at the base heat, so it's really not anything to concern ourselves with. 233 is just a little bit hotter at 60 heat per tick than 235 is, which is 50. Now, the one above that is where we start getting a little bit crazier. That's Hept 241 fuel. That burns at 420 heat per tick. Now, I did find a reactor design that was pretty close to being able to handle this online, and then I tweaked it a little bit so that it would be able to handle it completely and run safely. So that's neat. And then after that is HECM 247, which isn't quite as hot as HEP. And then you get up to HECF, which I don't think I've had a design for yet, but I'll look and see if I can figure one out. But that's a long way away. We got to get the basics going. So let's first look at the reactor design that I've come up with for this guy. All right, so here's the reactor design for the low energy ones, LEU 235, 233, and Tvu Fuel. These guys are, it's a very basic design. You can see it's just a bunch of lapis and empty air spots and a bunch of fuel cells. Remember, graphite moderators will get you more efficiency and more heat. But we don't care about efficiency. We actually don't want efficiency. We want this to be as low efficiency as possible, which you can see that the efficiency is at 100%, which is as low as possible. If we load our reactor that we're using right now, which is the tutorial one, right? We can see that we have, a pretty good amount of heating and cooling, and our efficiency is pretty high. It's 275 because we've got graphite moderators. Right? So if we look at that and we know, okay, yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape because graphite moderators are cool. They're giving us more efficiency. If I remove this, for example, you'll see my efficiency goes down, right? And we put it back and our efficiency goes up. So graphite moderators increase efficiency. Basically, you get more energy per fuel pellet. And you can see that right here, right? This is how much energy we're getting per fuel pellet. Let's apples to apples this comparison. We'll do LEU 235, right? So with this design, right, it's taking us 450 seconds to burn through a pellet of LEU 235, right? It's a safe reactor, so it's nice and cool, and we have a pretty decent amount of efficiency and 2640 RF a tick. Now when we wrote up the reactor for the breeding that I designed, right? And again, we're going to do LEU 235 just for an apples to apples comparison here. We'll see that we have a big difference in cooling, so we have plenty of cooling going on. But notice that pellets take less than a minute to burn through, right? That's a huge difference, right? We're talking less than 60 seconds to burn through our uranium, right? We're generating more heat or more RF per tick, but the energy per pellet is much lower because our efficiency is lower because we don't have any graphite moderators, right? So long story short, each pellet of fuel is generating less total RF, but we're burning through it faster. And that's kind of cool, right? So that's what we're going to design, or that's what we're going to build. And this will support and safely run our LEU 235 production. It'll also, and burn through the fuel quickly, right? Because that's our goal, burn through the fuel quickly. So that's LEU 235. It'll also burn through our LEU 233 nice and safely. And you'll notice that we're pretty close on cooling there. I mean, obviously I have a lot of air spots. So if I wanted more cooling in this thing, I totally could do it, no problem. But I don't know that that's necessary. We'll see. I'll maybe play with it a little bit and see if I change it up a bit, but I don't think it's necessary. And then the other thing we want is TBU, which we already said TBU is really doesn't burn hot at all. So we have plenty of cooling for that. All right, I think we're pretty close to having all the stuff that we need to make this thing. And then we just have to figure out how exactly I want to go through burning all this fuel. Because it's going to burn pretty quickly, but I mean, like about a minute per iteration. Let's see. And I've also got, if I paste this dude in here and we grab our copy paste gadget, we should have that structure. Now that one's one I came up with. So is it good? I don't know. I mean, it's probably not super great, but it's also relatively cheap if you look at it. Like, there's not a lot of expensive cooling going on in there, because some of the cooling is pretty expensive. So it's a cheap reactor, right? It's not a crazy one. It's cheap, relatively speaking, and that's kind of cool, right? So let me just get a few more things, and we'll be ready to roll. All right, I think I've got everything I need. So let's teleport over to our nuclear site and try this out. So this guy is my basic reactor, right? Let's go ahead and paste into the world, probably about one Y level higher. If we put you there, does that seem reasonable? Or actually, this room's a little bit too short for that, unless I move him over a little bit. That's kind of annoying. I mean, I could build him into the floor, though. Yeah, that should be fine, right? That should be okay. Yeah, that should be okay. I think we can do that. Let's build them into the floor. So is that nice and lined up with this? He totally is. That works. So what I'll do is basically right here. Is that the center? Or is this the center? I think this is the center. Ta-da! And then we'll put these guys down. Wow, you break fast. That is some serious business right there. And then boom, there's your reactor that I designed. Hooray! Is it the best reactor in the world? Probably not. Now, if I recall correctly, these things are copy-pastable, right? Like these building gadgets can do this, right? Yeah. All right, beautiful. So then what we want is surface mode, and we want fuzzy on. Actually, some of those things are air blocks, so that's not going to work super great. How about vertical wall? Of range 5, does that seem fair? Yeah, that seems good. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And then you just need a little bit of build-to-me action? Probably. I can get in there, right? Oh, that's right, there's like clear glass right above it. I forgot that there's clear glass there. There's my reactor casing that I'm looking for. So you build to me. Okay. That should be a solid reactor design. Like, that should be totally reasonable. Now, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, just to be extra cool about this, is probably have... Like, I kind of want to rotate this a little bit. Can you rotate? Not really. I could probably break and replace you, though, right? Yeah, let's see, why not? Okay. Just for, like, visual purposes, I want to put you there. And that should be fine. Perfect. So that's your LEU 235 fuel. Now, what I'm also thinking is on the up here, we have a limited item filter. Perfect. I'm going to want more of those. Really, bro? Come on. More with the zombie heads, and probably a little bit low on quartz for things as well. All right, we'll figure that out in a minute. So you're still doing this thing, right? I might want you just to always be running regardless. I don't think that it matters too much, but I might just let you always run. I think that that's a smart idea. Yeah, let's get some levers here, because I more importantly want the fuel output more so than the efficiency of the uranium. So if I just give you a steady redstone signal, you're going to run even if this thing is full. And that's probably the same thing we're going to want over here. So let's get our fission reactor controller going on there. So he's ready to go. And this is going to do my LEU, right? So I could probably just item conduit up. Okay. And you are going to be an insert. And we want the limited item filter. We have one of them at least. And I'm going to have to go get more zombie heads and probably a few other things. But we'll deal with that in a minute. So you're going to limited item filter, and we're going to want LEU 233 to get going in this thing, right? So let's, and for that we need TBU fuel, right? So we need TBU fuel, so let's teach you how to make TBU fuel. And now you're good to go. Because we get LEU 233 from burning TBU fuel, right? So if we watch this, we'll see that when we fission it and then deplete it and then fuel reprocess it, that's where we get uranium 233 from. And a healthy amount of it too. So that should be cool. All right, so now let me have one of these, please. Boom. Now it's gonna be a little radioactive in my inventory there. 600, that's not terrible, right? You can see I've already cleared this area out, right? Oh, that's painted. Okay, we can leave that as is. Are you conduit facade? Okay, yeah, you are. So you are what? You're filtered? Let's have 2 of you in there. Right? I just want to make sure nothing else is doing what it shouldn't be. What are you? Isotope Separator? I'm hoping you're depleted LEU 235, right? I would think. Is that what your job is? No. You are inserting on blue LEU 233, 235 fuel. What's up with that? Why is this here? Why did I set this up? What was I doing? Because fuel reprocessing? Or wait, is that a blacklist? It is a blacklist. Okay, cool. So Tvu fuel should also be blacklisted in here, right? So then we can put, and that should autocraft that. I would expect that it would autocraft it. Yay! And you're gonna go into here, right, buddy? Good. So I'm gonna have you actually keep 2 in stock at all times. Right, and then you're doing that for the 2. Okay, so that's putting TBU in there. And that's what we want to burn up in our reactor back at the place. Cool. And then the other thing I'm thinking is let's get... I'm going to use the flux stuff. I'm going to teach you how to make a flux plug for adding energy to the flux network. And you need flux. Oh, how did we make this again? It was like something fire. How do we... Compressing redstone with bedrock and obsidian. That's right. Maybe I should look at automating this at some point. Whee! Running down to bedrock. So many mods now are like, interact with bedrock. Like, I get it, guys. Bedrock is fun. But also, can we not? Alright, so then you go here. Okay, it's not terrible. And left click, and that gives me what I need. At least it's like you can do pretty much infinite amounts at a time. That's cool, at least. Okay, so you all go away, and then can I have the flux doohickey for adding energy to the flux network? Thank you, sir. Okay, now we head over here, and let's teach our nuclear reactor site thingy that you are going to allow, not those things. Where's my TBU fuel? Actually, there should be some in here, right? Yes. Okay, so you insert TBU fuel 1 at a time, right? So that now if I set you to extract always active, you've got your TBU fuel in there. Awesome. And if I give it a redstone signal, because we always want it running, ta-da! So we're generating power, 3780 RF a tick. The fuel remaining time burns through pretty quick. Let's see, where's my TBU fuel on my calculator? 114 seconds to burn through TBU fuel. Because fuel has all kinds of different attributes, right? Not only does it have the base processing time and heat gen and power. So like LEU 235 and 233 are pretty lower processing times by comparison to TBU, which is 120-minute base processing time. So, you know, it's TBU fuel is twice as much. Remember I said it would take about a minute to burn through the LEU? Well, it's taking about 2 minutes to burn through this. So let me turn you off for a minute because I want to have this guy doing this. And then you can run again. And what I'm going to do here is pop this guy down and connect you to the generators network. Okay? So then you should be emitting power on the generators network. What I think I'm also going to do, because this whole setup was neat, but I don't know that I necessarily need it anymore, because I'm more interested now in burning through my fuel to get higher power fuels. But I might want this to stay later. So what I think I'm going to do is just straight up remove this and this, but we're going to leave it here, and we're just going to pop you right down, right? So you're both going to send energy straight to the generator's network, which is going into my thing back home. That's kind of cool, actually. So if we went home and went into the deep dark and turned on that thing that burns through a lot of energy really quickly, right? Or I could even just turn on my, let's turn on our energy hungry redstone transmitter, right? That should be burning through power nice and quickly. So see how we're like barely touching this? Because if we pop back to our nuclear site now, we'll find that we're probably burning through... remember, we're not transmitting any energy from this. So this guy's kind of just staying still, except for the fact that he's powering this guy. But this guy... I mean, wow, he's doing a pretty good job, isn't he? Are you burning through? Yeah, you're draining energy. Sweet. Okay. And then what did I have here? You are... What I'm going to do is just... So you're inserting on brown. So let's have you extract on brown, always active, and connect our item conduit here so that you are going good. And then you should be getting depleted Tvu fuel, sending back to our refined storage system. See? Depleted Tvu fuel, which we're going to have to add to the processing thing at some point. So you've drained your energy. Nice. And then you're draining your buffer. Nice. And then if we pop back home, we will see this thing starting to drain. Nice. How cool is that? All right. I'm digging this. I'm digging this. All right. So now we want to add Tvu fuel, the depleted one. So how was I getting that into here? Isotope separator? Because that's what I need, right? So you've got thorium and refined. Where am I processing? It's not that. It's over here somewhere, isn't it? Where did I put this thing? Did I put it back in the wall? I might have put it back in the wall. Manufactory fuel reprocessor. This is the guy that does it. Okay. So you are inserting on purple. So whoever's extracting on purple, is that you, buddy? Yes. So you're storing depleted TBU? All right, so now what we want to do is take our depleted TBU here, stick that in this dude, and hopefully that will wind up in here. Nice, depleted TBU fuel. And then you're going to pop your uranium-233 into the thing here. Cool. Beautiful. Uranium-233. All right. All right. That's cool. Now, if we look at uranium, we'll see that we have a little bit of uranium-233. Now, that's going to burn through all our thorium for the most part, which is, I think, okay with me, right? I don't think there's any reason not to let that happen. Helium collectors used the thelium, or the thorium, right? Helium collectors. Didn't that use a lot of thorium? Yeah, 230 blocks. And we're using 232. Okay, so we're actually not competing here, right? 232 is used for the fuel, 230 is used to make helium blocks. So I'm down with that. Okay. Thorium ore. And we should get thorium ore from the shenanigans that we've been doing, right? Like, this should make thorium ore, doesn't it? Doesn't this make thorium ore? I would hope. I mean, I know it makes nuclear ore, or uranium ore, right? So that's cool. So you should, in theory, also make thorium ore. Gotta love it. I mean, that's just pure comedy right there. And I'm just assuming that you actually make thorium ore because you make nuclear craft uranium ore, right? I'd love to see thorium ore come up. And I could get one of these guys going too to focus on thorium, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we need that much more of it, really. That's what it comes down to, right? So let's say we have 287 of the thorium clumps, right? Let's keep an eye on that, let this run for a little bit, and see if we get some. Because I don't know. I'm assuming thorium is produced in here. Did you just do thorium? No, you did something else, I think. Okay. Back in a few. I want to keep an eye on this. So after a little bit of time, we've gotten a lot of nuclear craft lead. And we've gotten a decent amount of uranium, but I don't think we've gotten any thorium from this, which is interesting to me. Very interesting. Why would you get thorium? That's weird. I mean, I don't know how Astral calculates what ores to generate. It's weird, though. But this one generates thorium, right? This one's got to generate thorium, I would imagine. And then the void ore miner that's outside also generates thorium. So we're in pretty good shape. We have other ways, let's just say, of generating thorium. So that shouldn't be too big a deal. If we need to get more of it, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, so I think our only next logical step here would be to make the LEU-233 fuel that we want to get going in here as well. So let's get this thing programmed. All right, so that's going to be that. And do you know how to make uranium-238? I think you do. But this one needs to also be taught. So that should be cool. So let's get both of these guys added to the autocrafters. And give me 2 of them. No problem? Beautiful. That's what I want to see. Now, it's also going to be a little radioactive, but not a tiny amount. Really, really tiny amount of radioactivity, relatively speaking. So let's make sure that you're added to the blacklist here as well, because we don't want you isotope separating these things, right? Add you to here. You should autocraft them. Beautiful. Add you to here. You should auto-insert them. LEU-233 fuel. Nice. Okay. So now, let's put you away, because you're no longer necessary in there. And we head over to the nuclear site. And you've got a filter in you, right? On the up? Right. So you're only allowing 235 into here. Okay? But you're allowing thorium fuel, which is cool. I want to add LEU-233 to the list of things you're allowed to process. Because what's going to happen is, eventually, we're going to run out of thorium. And when that happens, right, thorium produces the stuff that's needed to make LEU-233. So what's going to happen is, we're going to burn through all our thorium fuel, and then once it's all gone, we will have produced a bunch of 233 components, and then we'll start burning through all that. And that'll be cool. How's my Geiger counter talking? Do I have that on me, or is that just... There you are. Hello, Geiger counter. 27 millirads. Is that a lot? I don't know. I feel like that's a lot. I guess it's a lot. Wasn't it 3 before? I don't know. I feel like it was 3 or 4 before, so it seems like a lot. Let's look at what we can do about that. There is protection we can put on our player. And then there's also radiation scrubbers. So there's the Geiger counter block, raise the radiation level a chunk it is placed in. There's the radiation scrubber, which we should totally look at making. Reduces the radiation level in a chunk it is placed in. Its effectiveness is dependent on the amount of free space around it, removing a maximum of 12.5% of the radiation in its chunk. The collective contribution from all scrubbers in the chunk will stack linearly. Requires 25 RF a tick to run. So we'll want to keep an eye on that and consider that as a possibility. Now, the other thing I wanted to look at making, I added it to my to-do list over there, so if I can't find it in JEI, it's up here. Light radiation shielding, medium radiation shielding, and heavy radiation shielding can be applied to armor to give the player rad resistance when warned. And this can be applied to pretty much any armor. Ooh, see all the armors? Including dark armor. See? Light, medium, heavy. All right, so let's look at just creating some of this stuff. So light radiation shielding looks easy. Medium radiation shielding uses light, and I think we have most of this stuff prepped. Beryllium, I don't know if we've taught it that, or DU plating, but let's figure it out. What do you say? So you should be easy. The heavy radiation shielding might require extra steps. But that's okay. We'll figure it out once we request 4 of them. What I like about this is I don't have to remove my existing armor. It uses my existing armor. So beryllium ingots and DU plating. Okay, seems pretty cool. Beryllium ingots and DU plating. So beryllium ingots is smelted beryllium dust, which I think we have 4096 of. So I'm kind of cool there. Okay, so let's teach that up. Boom and boom. And you can go into a basic smelter, which I think is down here, the redstone furnace. Cool. Now, DU plating might be a little bit trickier. It's uranium-238, advanced plating, and sulfur. That doesn't look too bad. That doesn't look too bad, right? I'm making radiation shielding out of uranium. Wait, what? Okay, 4 of them go. Nice. That don't look too bad. Yep, lots of machines processing, doing all their things. I might wind up tick accelerating a little bit, because, I mean, it's me. A little bit of tick acceleration, just help things get moving along. Gotta love tick accelerating. I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun. And then I don't have to wait, and then you guys don't have to wait. See, we both win. Everybody wins. Sweet. Whoop. So now I pop these guys on my armor and we're cool? Is that about how it works? It might have to be in a proper crafting table. Wow, I move slow. I am really used to moving faster than that. You and you. Okay. Huh. You would think that that would work. Do we have like a regular crafting table around here? So U plus U. Huh. Alright, I got an idea. Bear with me a minute. U. Helmet. Can I remove all these? And now you're just a normal dark helmet? You see what I did there? Dark helmet? Get it? Actually, that's interesting. Why you want to combine? Maybe you need to be fully repaired? I'm trying to imagine if I have an item repair handy. I'll just do it with dark steel. I think that's probably the quickest and easiest way. What do I need to combine you? Just level 1. Bing. So do you have to be fully repaired? Is that why? It might be that he has to be fully repaired. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Now, out of curiosity, can I reapply this stuff? If I put this on and did this, can you guys go back into here? Where's 2, 3, 4? That might be the problem, is it might not just want to go onto a partially damaged version. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, cool. So rad resistance 1. Nice. Okay, cool. I like that. So basically we just have to repair the durability, and then we'll be good, right? So let's get some dark steel. Let's get this off my hotbar before I accidentally paste more stuff into the world than I want. So you and you. And you. Cool. And then this, well, actually I can put all 3 there. This. Now, out of curiosity, can I put it on again? No. So that's it. Done deal. Rad resistance 1. So now overall we have a total radiation resistance of 4, which is cool, I guess. Does that mean, so does that mean does that mean I won't absorb any more radiation if the radiation in the chunk is 4 or less? I would think that, right? Oh. Guess we'll figure it out as time goes by. Because the next fuel we're going to make is going to be pretty hot. Hept-241. That's the next thing we got going on. So yeah, looking forward to that. So we've got uranium-233 coming in now. And like I said, a decent amount of that stuff. That's cool. You're burning through your Tvu fuel, of which we don't have a ton. We don't have a ton. We're just gonna have to do something about that. Hooray! And I'm just gonna let this run, because I'm thinking we'll probably have a better chance of getting thorium out of the deep dark than we were getting it out of here, right? That thing was cool, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't seem to, for whatever reason, to be producing thorium. But, like I said, this dude is producing thorium for us, which is cool. It's there. There's the thorium, right? And we'll get a decent amount of thorium. In fact, why don't I just take the thorium out of here and put it away so it can start processing? And that'll just give us more of a thorium boost to our uranium-233, and that'll be cool, right? So what I'm going to do is wrap up the episode here. How are we doing with erodium, by the way? Is that enough? 5. We are at 5 erodium, so we only need 8 more before I can get my focusing crystal. That is slow. Several people have recommended that I should maybe consider making multiple tier structures, but I mean, I could, but I feel like after I get the focusing laser lens thingy, that becomes less useful. But we'll see, because then I would have to make just 2 lenses, right? And meh, not a huge fan of that. So let's come back next episode. I'm going to let this fuel burn for a little bit. We'll come back next time. We'll see how much uranium we get. And then what we'll do is create another reactor that's going to be capable of burning our Hep-241 fuel, which is a pretty high-energy plutonium. Its base power is 666 RF compared to the 120 RF of our LEU-235. So it's 6 times as much power, but it's also a lot more heat, 420 versus 50. So a little bit more heat, right? And its base processing time is low, though, which is nice. So we'll burn through it pretty quickly and maybe get HECM, which also has a decent amount of power and heat gen. All right, for now, Adult20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Lots of nuclear crafty stuff today, and I hope you guys liked that, because it's fun. It's fun to play with this mod. It really is. All right, guys, take it easy.